I have promised you last time we have a herd member who's actually local here to where I live, Amos. And we have known each other for quite some time because we share a passion for a healthy lifestyle and also entrepreneurship, veganism, and yeah, all the good stuff, right?
Yep, already that we've known each other.
So explain to the audience, what are you into? What are you about?
In general?
Yeah, in general.
Quick overview of me. Born and raised here in San Antonio, Texas. I've been an athlete my whole life, so naturally into fitness and wellness. I launched a juice bar. It was my first business when I was 22. And I just learned business, but I've always been entrepreneurial. Ever since in fifth grade, I was taught the equation of how to calculate a profit. And ever since then, I've been always looking for ways to make a profit. But of course, the formalities of business, I learned through just doing. I had no formal mentors or anybody around me to learn from, so I just started my juice bar from my parents' kitchen and just learned from there.
The gym where I go.
That's how we reconnected, or the LA Fitness there.
Yeah.
So we got the juice bar. Also, I've done some coaching, parkour and tumbling and gymnastics. Is also where I met my wife, at a rock climbing gym. We've got 2 kids. They're toddler age. I enjoy reading, running. I'm also an ultra runner. I competed in American Ninja Warrior. So I've got a pretty diverse background. It's a little bit different than a lot of the crypto bros. It's like the intersection of wellness, fitness, and then the crypto world. And then the third world that I've been involved in is the cannabis and hemp industry. I became very passionate about hemp specifically when I just did some research as a teenager, when I was just curious on what is about this plant that's so controversial. And when I dug into it, I discovered industrial hemp and ended up launching a CBD business that is stagnant right now, but I have plans with it in the future. So I've got this background of fitness, cannabis expertise now, and just jumping right into the deep end with the crypto world.
Yeah, definitely. You are someone we focused on our business for a while, but I've always followed you on your socials, and you're always someone who's interested in progressing and learning more. You don't like being stagnant at all. And yeah, let's talk about, how did you get into crypto, back into crypto, DeFi? I know, what's your story with that?
Yeah, so the quick version, I stumbled into buying Bitcoin in, I think it was about 2013. I was having some health issues, which eventually led to me getting into juicing and plant-based living and veganism and launching my juice bar. But I was looking to buy some CBD, again, that interest of cannabis and hemp, and I had learned that CBD could help with some of the issues I was dealing with. But at the time, it was illegal, even the CBD side. Now, it's been legal. You can just walk into even corner stores here in Texas and buy CBD products.
Right.
But back then, it was treated identical to marijuana. So I ended up discovering the Silk Road, which was an anonymous online black market where you could purchase all kinds of things. It was a very intriguing and crazy experience to see that this was a real thing that people could do. And they used this anonymous currency called Bitcoin in order to transact on there. And I think it's actually what helped early on Bitcoin gain some early traction, going from maybe the single-digit dollar range up to the tens and 50s and $60 range, because it gave some utility to it. I think real early on, Bitcoin was something that only the tech people or developers knew about and could understand, and the blockchain in general, but nobody was really transacting it. They weren't selling and buying things except for this black market that came out, at least at the time, to my knowledge. So I ended up getting a crypto wallet back then. I didn't even know I was getting a crypto wallet. I was just following instructions, and then ended up buying some Bitcoin and then purchasing some CBD. And then I must have had a quarter of a Bitcoin left on that wallet. And then I just forgot about it. And even at that time, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. Never heard of crypto, never heard of these terms, never heard of the blockchain. No idea. I was just like, it was a means to an end for me.
You were using crypto without knowing that you were using crypto.
So that's how I got in, which then, like I said, didn't do anything for many years until I heard it was in the $10,000 range. And I was like, wait, what? That Bitcoin that was like $50 when I got it? And then, of course, I was scrambling, looking for access to my wallet, and I had lost that access.
Did you regain it at some point?
No, because I was using a desktop computer, and I think I remember saving it, my 12 word
seed phrase,
paraphrase, or my phrase, on that computer, and with that computer's been long gone, thrown away, and I did not save a hard copy. I didn't realize the importance of it. I thought it was, I could just reset my password and I'll get right in.
And that's why so much Bitcoin actually nowadays is lost Bitcoin, because a lot of people are in your situation.
So then I started tracking it. Haven't really done anything too much in crypto, just followed up, bought a little Bitcoin, held it here and there, but it wasn't until I met you, or not met you, reconnected with you maybe late last year, that I started getting more serious about it and learning more again. That experience back then was very useful because I was able to have that early experience of having an asset at such a low price that then I watched it exponentially grow in value, and seeing the elephant money that you've introduced me to, and the ecosystem, bank teller, and the utility built around the coins there, it made me realize, or I have the perspective to realize the opportunity, whereas if I didn't have that experience, I may not fully grasp the opportunity of being able to get this particular asset at under $1, or even under $10.
That's really great. So just for those of you catching up on the video and you might not know what we are talking about. So we're talking about elephant money as a financial project, a community bank on the blockchain, and it has a token. The token's called Trunk. And that token Trunk right now is extremely interesting because, and I have lots of videos around that, it acts as a treasury for a whole setup of different products. It acts as an asset that you can use as collateral in a lending and borrowing business. But that set aside, again, there's other videos that I have about that. We have a token here that has the potential to do something very similar than what you experienced. And that's also what maybe makes you believe in it, as you just mentioned. Like, you bought Bitcoin when it was around 50, forgot about it, and then all of a sudden it was $10,000. A Bitcoin now at the time of this recording is around 60K. And we're talking here about a token called Trunk that right now, as we speak, is traded for 50 cents. And there's all the reasons that this can do something very similar than what Bitcoin did. And I think the great advantage we have is, first, we know about it. Second, we know the community around it. I personally know the founder and developer BT. You know him because of the live events. You probably meet him in one of the future conferences. And we have this vision that this could be something that gives us generational wealth.
Yeah, speaking of, I want to bring this up. The things I really like about Tony Perkins, or BT, or bank teller, you might hear us refer to him as BT, is his concentration on, what does he say, cash flow for all, for everyone, and building generational wealth. And that's something that's a buzzword, but in this case, he's actually building a system with a clear vision and plan to actually make that happen. And so with that being said, today, it was just coincidence how this worked out. I took my kids to this reptile expo, and for a long time, I've always liked reptiles, and I had a ball python, I don't know if you knew, for many years, and I've always wanted a tortoise. I just thought they were cool, fun animals, and then especially once I went vegan and plant-based, I was like, oh, I can have a little bro eating vegetables with me and
That's
making
cool,
juice
yeah.
all the time, so I can get him some of my juice pulp. But I've been having a lot of conversations teaching people about elephant money, about trunk, about the futures account, about all the different things that are offered through elephant money. And I obviously believe that this is going to be a major vehicle in helping me create generational wealth. And so in the conversations, a lot of times people that are new to cryptocurrency or DeFi, they're like, can I get my money out? I'm sure you experience people new. Is it just like stuck in some digital space where I can't actually use it? And so one reason I off-ramped some of my crypto earnings from the futures account and purchased today a tortoise. One, because I like them and I've always wanted them, but this is the real reason why. Because I want this tortoise to be a representation of the generational wealth in my family. Because one, he was purchased using the interest gained.
We show him.
Yeah.
Does he have a name already?
We have some loose names.
Okay.
Money Man.
Oh.
Money Man is one idea. Mr. Moneybags, BT Jr., I don't know yet. But so this is him. Tortoises live to be 60, 70 years old, and he will get large and big, and he's going to be a representation of the wealth in my family. As he grows, ideally the amount of dollars that we're holding and growing will grow as well as he grows. And one day I'll pass him along to my children, and because he'll outlive me, he'll live along with my children, and then they'll hold him just like they'll hold my generational wealth. And so he's also a symbol of our generational wealth. So it's like full circle how this worked out today.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, because he moves slowly.
Slow and steady wins the race.
But he has a very strong, sturdy structure, a shield that protects him. And it's really awesome that you see all of that beyond yourself, as we mentioned, generational wealth. So that's awesome. And he's taking a nap right now, which is actually what BT said we should all do, right? Rest a little bit today. So I'm going to put him on the table. Maybe he'll start walking, but I think he's sleeping. Speaking of generational wealth, I was fortunate enough to have discovered this ecosystem last October, and the focus was on futures. And for those of you who are part of the herd, you know what futures are. I love my futures account. I'm sure you do. You love your account as well. We just hope that the ecosystem evolves where we can all benefit from futures a long time. But what I also discovered when it was about 10 cent a trunk, which is the token that right now is probably the biggest opportunity to build generational wealth, I embraced that opportunity. So I bought a lot of trunk because it was only at 10 cent. And I would say all in all, I invested between $60,000 and $70,000 into trunk because I'm a businessman and I always take part of my savings and reinvest them. And that amount of money that I invested is now worth around $500,000. So I could make a case that already within a year's time, I built what for a lot of people is generational wealth. Because with $500,000, you now go and invest that wisely, maybe into Solend/Save, right? Or you use it as a deposit for down payment, or as in my case, we know we're only at the beginning. Trunk under $1 is very far away from what this token has the potential to do. So I'm holding on to it, and also I'm DCAing, meaning I'm slowly buying even more, which most likely when it's time for me to slow down a little bit and really be acting like a retiree, that will be worth millions of dollars. And that's quite frankly what everybody wants for themselves and for their families and the generations ahead of them. And it's an opportunity. Like, when do you get a shot at that as a normal?
Once or twice.
Yeah, as a normal individual.
That brings up something that also, I guess, helps give me belief or conviction, or what's the other word? Insight. Is I'm 32 years old. How old are you now?
42.
42, exactly 10 years apart. But I was in a unique age when the internet was coming into the mainstream. I was, year 2000, I was, 8 years old. 8 to 10 years old when the internet was really starting to gain its traction. I guess you could call it Web 2, when we were having actual utility of the internet.
Yeah.
Just like early Bitcoin, the early internet didn't have much utility. It was just this new thing. And then Web 2 came along, and now you actually have chat, and you have applications, and you have utility. Social media platforms were born. And my point is this, like you said, when you have that opportunity, there were a lot of people that invested in Apple and Amazon and PayPal back then and became millionaires, some even billionaires. And I was old enough to watch that happen, but too young to know the details and be an investor. But I can see a lot of the similarities of that industry as a whole to the decentralized finance and cryptocurrency industry. And so I can see that we're early, just like back then, that was very early. And you even hear some of the same things, like we, in the group, we call them the fudders, the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt. Back then, people were doing the same thing for the internet that they're saying about crypto. In my head, I'm like, I remember adults saying that, oh, this is a scam. This is not going to be here for that long. This is just a little, what do they call it? Not a trend, but I guess a trend. Yeah, like a fad that's going to just go away. And then, of course, here we are 30 years later, and it's integrated into our lives. And I can see and believe that cryptocurrency will be the same. They all say the same things about the crypto industry now, and it's usually that older generation at this time, maybe 55 and up.
Just because people are afraid of change. Always.
Of course, especially a change that is promising generational wealth and such high returns and the different things that could come with it. But all that helps shape my perspective and helps me to understand how hot of a time and an asset in particular Trump is. And so that's why I feel very confident in it based off of my personal experiences.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and I will make sure that in the description of this video there's all your socials so people can follow you. I'm sure a lot of you relate with what Amos said. Both of us will actually continue to create content to help guide you and give you the confidence that you might need to start or to stay or to go in even heavier. Listen, for myself, I am invested very heavily into crypto, and I believe truly with all my heart and my intellect that's the right thing to do. For all of you trunk holders out there who get a little nervous seeing the chart ups and down, just know that is part of the journey. As a matter of fact, when you hold your United States dollar in your normal bank account, that value of that dollar fluctuates as well. You just don't see it because your point of reference is always that US dollar. But the US dollar has an intrinsic value that goes up and down, and that is called inflation, but also it is measured by how the rest of the world looks at the dollar in terms of strength. And right now, for example, the value of the dollar is going down a little bit because a lot of countries decide to have less reserves in dollars, so there's less demand, and when there's less demand, the value of that thing drops. All of that to say is everything always is fluctuating up and down. You just don't really worry about it when it's in your normal bank account denominated as US dollars. But what you are missing out on when you are only invested in US dollars, the normies as we call it, you're missing out on being part of what Amos mentioned, what we believe is going to be the standard of financial transactions in the future. It only makes sense because there's going to be a need for much quicker and much more efficient, much more cost-efficient ways to transact value throughout this globe, and also what I believe very soon interplanetary transactions, to be honest. We're not that far away from mankind staying long-term on the moon. And our friend here has woken up as well. I don't know if you can see it. But yeah, so you want to be part of that now and not miss out. And again, if you have questions, definitely do not be shy and reach out to Amos or myself. And that's, I think, a good point. Any final thoughts, Amos?
I think my only thoughts are a couple closing thoughts. Educate yourself. One of the things you'll see in the general community, but also the elephant money community, is DYOR, do your own research. And you're completely in control of your education. I'm an avid reader. I read books. Usually average about a book every 2 weeks or so. If it's something I'm really interested in, I'll finish it in a week. And so I guess my point is this: educate yourself as much as you possibly can on this new emerging industry, and then specifically the Elephant Money Decentralized Community Bank, because with that knowledge, you'll be able to properly assess the risk and then get involved. A lot of the times when people are hesitant, it's simply because they're uneducated. And you could say that about really anything, whether it's a traditional business, a traditional bank, an investment. The more educated you are, the more confident you'll be in your risk assessment and being able to do it. And then the last thing is, you don't have to have a lot of money to do it. I think a lot of people think that you need to start, like Shankar is in a great position where he's able to buy $60,000 worth of trunk, which is an amazing, if you got that, now's the time to do that. But not everybody does, so work on a percentage. One of my favorite authors and speakers is Jim Rohn. He recommends taking 10% of every dollar you make to put towards a passive investment like this, and another 10% towards an active investment like my juice bar or my more traditional business, and then another 10% to just give. And you can exercise these financial disciplines whether you make $100, $1,000, $10,000. You can exercise that discipline and it'll pay out for you, and you can start small and grow it from there. So don't feel like just because you don't have a lot of money that you can't be involved. In fact, I would say encourage you. That's a reason why you should be involved. So yeah, I think that's about it. Like Shankar said, I'll be putting out more videos, as well as I'm typing up an ebook, just getting all of my thoughts out. And as I have more conversations, I'm understanding more. They say the best way to learn is to teach. And so I'm teaching a lot of people, and in the process I'm like, you know what, I can type this up so I don't have to keep repeating myself, and also I'm understanding this better. So I'll be putting out more content. Shankar has fantastic content that I always send people, so definitely stay in touch, ask questions, and yeah, load up your trunk bags. Now's the time.
Yeah, awesome. I couldn't have said it better. The next video is likely coming to you from Amsterdam, where I will hopefully meet a few Hurt members. I already have at least 2 that I'm pretty sure I'll meet. But if you are in Amsterdam or close to Amsterdam, definitely reach out to me, and we can meet up and chill together. Bye bye for now.
Peace.
Nope.